Um, Hello, welcome back to the continuing lecture series in investment analysis. This is Dr. Jeff Hong again, and in our last video, we did some Excel models to find yield, right? So now here we come back to the question about a very fundamental question about yield. In Finance 100, we defined yield. I mean, at least if you took Finance 100 with me, the yield was defined in a couple of ways, at least like three ways, and they are all connected. They all mean the same thing. First of all, of course, the yield is annualized return, right? It's the annualized return on the bond. So they also say, most commonly, that's the long-term return on the bond. But what does the long-term return mean? I mean, long-term return until the maturity. They say if you hold the bond until maturity, this is the long-term return that you get. But what does the long-term mean? I mean, if the maturity remaining, the maturity left is 20 years, then does that mean return over 20 years? No. That's called holding period return, right? Holding period. Yield is, I said at the beginning, it's annualized, right? So if annualized return is like 5% over 20 years, at least that's going to be, in your mind, you would say, 20 times 5%. No. That's rough, that would be approximation, but that's not. You took Finance 100. Some of you must have taken 230, Finance 230. And all this time, the very crucial concept is, if something grows at 5% and over 20 years, it's not going to be 5% times 20, but it will be compounded. So it's going to be 1.05 raised to 20 minus 1. Remember that? That's the total return for the entire holding period, 20-year holding period, or simply called holding period return. But then if you annualize it, that's what the yield is. Okay? Now, next question. So, and also in Finance 100, I made a very clear distinction between yield and the growth rate, right? Or growth rate versus return. And I don't want to go back to Finance 100 material. The growth rate is, simply a pure, growth in capital gains without, any incidental income like interest or dividends. But then return or yield is the concept that includes all of that. So the second one, so yield is long-term return, and then short-term return is current yield, right? Current yield is the short-term, they say, short-term yield, and yield to maturity is long-term yield. But also, I defined it also as the internal rate of return. Internal rate of return. And what is internal rate of return? Internal rate of return is the discount rate that makes the left-hand side of this equation, right, equal to the right-hand side of the equation. And what is this equation? Isn't this equation basically bond valuation, right? Actually, the symbol should be like this, uppercase B for intrinsic value of the bond. And to find the intrinsic value of the bond, it's the present value of annuities, which is all the coupon payments, and present value of the par value or the maturity value, right? Yeah, par value or maturity value. So then the question is, if you look at the left bond pricing model, right? And looking at the left-hand side is the bond price, right? Which is the present value of everything, present value of the right-hand side. Make sense? And the right-hand side is the, sum of the present values of all the coupons, annuities, right? And, present value of, par value. So to better, let me, insert new slide here to explain it better. So let's think about let me just type in something just to get rid of that. Okay. So the point is, oops, and then this gets, I'll just type in B just to okay, B equals. So we already know the formula, right? We know it's the coupon. So the present value of annuities are, I'm sorry. The first thing was, just first formula. It's so hard to, okay, minus, again, coupon. Please bear with me. I'm not writing it. It's actually drawing it with the mouse. It's very difficult. Coupon over R times 1 plus R raised to N. And so this is the formula for the present value of annuities. So coupons are all annuities. So to find the present value of that. And the par value or the maturity value, right, $1,000. We have to discount it to present, right? 1 plus r raised to n. Now think about it. If I write it this way, what does that mean? It means that this is the unknown, right? Bond price is the unknown, isn't that right? If I write it this way, that means we are finding the bond price when every other variables are known. They are actually, our coupon payment is known, our discount rate is given, right? Par value, our time end is known. Par value is, of course, in 1,000. But suppose I wrote it this way. Price of the bond. So what's the difference? I've been telling you, this is the intrinsic value, right? Or the fair value or rational price of the bond. And this is what? This is the market price of the bond, right? Then I would write it like, that's too much. Coupon so difficult to write. Coupon over y minus, well, let me copy this, it's so hard. Coupon over y. Okay, let me do this. I'll just let's see if I can. Okay, the whole thing can be covered, copied, and I'll put it here. Oh no. I missed n here. Okay, so and there's something this will have to be y. So what does y stand for? Of course, it stands for yield, right? Yield to maturity. So mathematically, what is in this equation? What is the unknown? It's the same equation, but you might wonder what's the difference. The difference is that previously this one is the unknown, but now this is not the unknown. This is known. Why? Because this is the market price, and market price is what? Market price is a given. In other words, today's bond price, right? Today's, company X. You wanna, know company X's, bond price today. You just look up today's, of course, at the end of the day, after the market has closed, after all transactions has concluded. So at the end of the day, there will be an ending price of the day, ending price. So end price of the day is today's price, which is already given because, it's the result of the market transaction, right? But again, I've been telling you, intrinsic value and the market price can be different. Most of the times it will be different, right? because market is that's the nature of the market. It's a lot of there's a lot of psychology. It's not you know perfectly rational in the short run. Market is not rational in the short run. Never rational in the short run. So in this case, the unknown is what? The yield is the unknown. Y is the unknown. And what does that mean? It's the, think about it. Under what conditions will the right-hand side be equal to the left side? There's only one value, right? There's only one Y value that can make the right-hand side equal to the left-hand side, right? Depending on what Y is, there are three possible scenarios. The right-hand side is greater than the left-hand side, or the left-hand side is greater than the right-hand side. Now think about it. If there's only one value that can make the right side equal to the left-hand side, and the unique Y value, right, the unique discount rate that makes, this looks ugly, so let me, the unique Y value, right, the right-hand side equal to the left-hand side, that's called internal rate of return, right? That's called internal rate of return. So if the discount rate is greater than internal rate of return, right? Then what's going to happen? The right-hand side will be less than the left-hand side, right? On the other hand, if the discount rate is less than the internal return, the right-hand side will be greater than the left-hand side. And therefore, that unique discount rate that makes the right-hand side equal to the left-hand side, in other words, internal rate of return, that is the yield, okay? Of course, the yield will change over time because it depends on, how many coupon payments are left, right? So as time goes, every semester, right, it will change, right? Also, a couple of other ways that the yield is, defined is that the, and I've said that also, many times in Finance 1. The way yield is, the way it is said, instead in bond problems, they never say straightforward, use 6% as discount rate. They never say that, right? This never said that. What are the other ways it is worded then? How it is worded? It is worded, the bond is priced to yield 6%. Well, then what does that mean? The bond is priced to yield 6%. Well, what does that mean? Use 6% as the discount rate. Okay? Use 6%, or 6% is the yield, which is the discount rate. Make sense? Or another way it is worded is the comparable bonds, the similar bonds or the comparable bonds are yielding 6%. That's the way it is worded. You understand? And think about it. What does that mean? If similar bonds or comparable bonds, what does that mean? What is meant by similar bonds or comparable bonds? That means the bonds of the comparable or similar risk class, right? So what did I say? When we say, discount, what do we use for discount rate? And generally they say it's the prevailing market rate. But then, yeah, at final, that's just what they say in very, very low level finance courses. I mean, in my Finance 100, uh, I don't explain it like that. Of course, I give um, basically the prevailing market rate, but then later I explain prevailing market rate is a very broad and vague expression, but actually what it means is, this. Okay, I explain that later. But if it is something like personal finance or very low level finance, I will just say comparable prevailing market rate. Now think about it. Prevailing market interest rate is what? I mean, if you go to the bank, what kind of interest rate? If you put your money into the bank, if you lend money to the bank, what kind of interest rate do you? In other words, if you put your money in the savings account, you don't even get 0.1% a year. If you put your money into a CD, that's really lending money to the bank for like 6 months or 1 year. 1 year, you will get probably 1%. Is that the prevailing rate in the market? Yes, for CDs, yes. For CDs, for savings account, yes, 0.1%. But for triple B class bond, triple B class, and I don't know if triple B is the minimally acceptable investment grade. So then for triple B, of course, the return should be greater than single A or double A or triple A. So I say triple Bs in general, they will have they pay about 4%, 5%. Then what is the prevailing market rate for triple B class? If your bond is triple B class, then the comparable bonds are all paying on average 5%. That's what it's saying. Okay? Don't take comparable prevailing market rate at its face value. That's just, I mean, if you are a very naive person before taking any Finance 100, for your prevailing market rate may simply what you get from the bank. But if you are smarter than that, I mean, if you're in 300, maybe you have already taken 230 as well, then prevailing market rate means a different thing to different leagues, different risk classes, right? Makes sense? All righty. So that brings us to I already explained, what makes a bond a premium bond, what makes a discount bond. Yield to call, it's just yield to maturity in case of call bonds, right? And I'm not going to go over the call. We did. I'm not going to talk about the go over the call bond again, callable bond. Now we did this, exercise already. So I'm going to have to go into realized compound return. It takes, but it cannot be done in the next couple of minutes. We started at 12. It's been almost 30 minutes. So, but before. So remember last time. I said, okay, this is same bond because currently it's priced the same, $1,276.76, right? Priced the same. It's priced the same, and of course the maturity value is the same, $1,000, right? The only difference is that the coupon is semi-annual. In this case, this is annual. So And why in that case, yield to maturity is higher in semi-annual? Why is it lower in annual? Look, you remember in time value of money, right? The higher the compounding frequency, the higher the future value, right? And the lower the compounding frequency, right? The lower the future value. And then think about it. What's the future value here? And it's very math. It's just the mathematical logic. That means, if you are starting from the same principle, and if you're getting to the same future value, right? But two things, these two instruments, two assets have different compounding frequencies. One is annual, the other one is semi-annual. Then what does that mean? Starting from the same present value, going to the same future value, then what should happen with the interest rate? Well, it takes less interest rate. It takes less interest rate, right, to get to the same future value if compounding is more frequent. If compounding is more frequent, right, to go from 1,000 to 2,000, right, and one is semi-annual compounding, the other one is annual compounding, then because if interest rate is the same and then compounding is higher, then the higher compounding frequency will get you to the higher future value. But if the future values are all the same, right, present values are also all the same, then the higher the compounding frequency, it should take less interest rate to get to the same future value. So then based on that logic, then you might, shouldn't this have a lower yield to maturity? Shouldn't this have higher yield to maturity? Although the difference is very minimal. Now, in this case, think about it. What is the present value? Present value is 1,276. So what does this mean? You're starting from a higher present value and getting to the lower future value. And in that case, then it will have to be vice versa. Logic will have to be vice versa. Okay? Makes sense? And then and also this is a case of premium bond. Premium bond. And of course, it goes without saying, coupon rate is 8%, which is greater than, right? The discount rate. So premium bond. And so you might wonder, and then in case of premium bond, although it's only natural that over time the price of the bond declines, right? Price of the bond goes down, and at maturity it will be exactly $1,000, right? And you might want, you shouldn't wonder, why do people, buy such a bond? Look, you are in 300, not finance 100. You are in finance 300. Of course, they have collected handsome coupon for 20 years. I mean, in this case, 30 years. That's the reason for, premium bond. Paying even premium for a bond that pays, $1,000 at the end. Because they're handsome, coupon interest, they can collect for 30 years. Okay? All righty, so time is up. So I'm going to have to cut the video, and See you guys in the next video. All right. Take care now. Stop recording.